We are back. Season 2, Episode 2, in the huddle with GMac. This week, we have the boys from Onteora. Head coach Michael Liverani, quarterback Reese, Rotella, and linebacker / running back Griffin, Alterio. Welcome, gentlemen.
What's up? How we doing?
What's going on?
Not much. We are currently preparing for our Week 1 game against Sullivan West. And
is that your rival?
No. Right now, I would say our previous rival has left our division. So right now we're excited to take on everybody.
So where exactly is Sullivan West? Is that like Fallsburg Sullivan, right? Monticello Sullivan.
So Sullivan West is Jeffersonville.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I don't know if they're a one school program. A lot of those schools out there are kind of amalgamations of multiple programs put together. So. But Sullivan West, since we have joined 8-Man, I have not been able to coach against them yet.
So you haven't played them yet?
Yeah. They're not in our division. They're in the West Division. We're in the East Division. But last year and the year before, they were both they were a playoff team. So
okay,
they're a good squad. And actually, I think 2 years ago they went to the regional. So
they're a talented bunch.
Yeah, Ron Bowers, their coach, has been coaching for like 50 years, literally. So it's they're going to be a tough squad. They always are.
Now, I'm not up on all the 8-man stuff. So I know in like 11-man we have divisions, double A, single A, B, whatever. Are there divisions in 8-man?
So there's not tiered divisions. There's literally just geographical. So 8-man is all going to be C and D schools.
Okay.
And I believe there's only 1 or 2 D schools left. The way they break it out is the West Division has Sullivan, Fallsburg, Eldred. Who else is out that way? Tri-Valley. And Rondout's in there now as a non-playoff team. They basically put them in there to compete this year. And then the other division, we got Pine Plains, Pauling, us, Ellenville, and Millbrook is actually now back on varsity.
Okay.
They were merged up with Dover for a little while, and then they just finally split their programs back apart.
Yeah.
And they're fielding an 8-man team.
Now, I know Onteora's for years. So, like, back in the 90s, Onteora was a powerhouse. Like, Sargis Onteora, the Epic Wars, your dad, always talks about it. Yeah. The 3-year war, the whole deal. There was actually literally, you could do a documentary, the 3-year war.
Absolutely.
And the fights behind the stands at D Stadium were awesome.
Yeah.
But anyway, for a long time, they were a football school. And then as the population dwindled, it went away. And then it came back. Like, you guys had a youth program. 8-man, that kind of fits your size of your school.
Yeah.
Like, it's too tough to have 11-man at that.
Yeah. So, when I first started coaching at Onteora, I think it was 6 years ago now, we were 11-man at that time. And we made the decision to go 8-man because we were looking at enrollment numbers coming up. And it was just, we weren't going to get any relief. And we were trying to gut through 11-man seasons with, 16 to 19 guys, and you need 16 to play.
Right.
So with 8-man, the big difference is you only need 12 suited to play.
Right.
So, it wasn't an easy decision, especially at the time. Nobody really knew about 8-man. So everyone was kind of like, that's not real football. The typical narratives on 8-man. And but for us, it was football.
But it was a way to keep the sport without losing it entirely.
Yeah. And this is a program that, we've tried to trace back. There's a lot of gaps in their archives as far as statistics and records. But I don't think this program has had a winning season since like 95.
Oh, really?
I mean, it's been 30 years almost since they finished above 500. So when I decided to come back, that was a goal, because I played here from 99 to 03.
Right.
And just, suffered through a lot of winless seasons.
Yeah.
You know, and I really wanted to see us get back to where we should be.
Did football ever go away completely up there?
Totally. Twice, actually, that I know of since I stopped playing in 2003.
Right, but now
there was two
breaks in service, so to speak.
Yeah. Yep.
But with 8-man, you don't really have what's your roster size about now?
Right now we're sitting at about 20,
which is
a
full team over the lowest number.
Right. Yeah, and it's also the lowest I've had since I started doing 8-man. So certainly the numbers continue to trend lower with our enrollment. So it's a good thing we did 8-man because it gives us some stability moving forward.
Yeah. Now, guys, what's your senior class graduating?
86.
86.
Yeah,
wow.
It's really low.
It used to be like in the hundreds, right? Like 100, probably even when you were in school.
Yeah.
Right, 150s. So it's cut in half from when you were in school.
Yeah.
Oh wow! I didn't realize you got that small. I thought it was like 125 or something in that range.
Here's the kicker: we're cut in half. But they haven't cut any sports out in the fall season.
Oh,
so they're still trying to do soccer, football, golf, cross country.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's tough. All the sports are competing for athletes, and to everybody's credit, we're still fielding the teams, but it's tough.
Yeah. So you opened this weekend. Yep. You had a scrimmage last weekend. You feel like you fared pretty well in the scrimmage last weekend?
I was as the head coach, I am extremely excited with what we saw at the scrimmage. We are a senior heavy team. 9 of our roster right now of 20 are seniors.
Now, have you guys both played since 10th grade on varsity or 9th grade?
I started on my freshman year.
You were on that 9th grade team, right? Yeah. So actually, their 9th grade year was COVID year.
Okay.
So we didn't have a modified program. So I actually pulled both of them up. Reese at the time, because his main position was quarterback, we were pretty good. So I kind of brought him up as a learning experience, just to kind of sit and learn under the varsity quarterback then. Griff actually ended up starting.
Yeah.
As a 9th grader.
Tackles that year.
So you led the team in tackles as a freshman.
I was ready to go, man.
Yeah. Well, I mean, a lot of people don't know. You played for Kingston prior to moving back to Onteora.
Yeah.
So you went from like a class AA to 8-man back down as a quarterback back to like a linebacker as a 9th grader playing varsity football.
Yeah. When I played at Kingston, they made me play quarterback. I was happy. I was an 8th grader. I was the 18 quarterback, and my only problem was they didn't let me play defense. And ever since I played flag football, defense has been what I love doing.
Right.
I love bringing the boom, not taking it.
Yeah.
So, get called up to Onteora over here. They said I could play running back, linebacker. I was ecstatic.
Yeah.
Couldn't wait to lay the boom again.
Now, academically, what'd that do for you going from Kingston back to Onteora? Obviously, bigger school. Kingston has a lot of programs, outside of sports.
Yeah.
Academically, how was the adjustment?
It was good. I went actually from probably a lower end student to a higher end student because the more specific learning,
smaller classes.
Yeah, smaller classes. Since sophomore year, I've been high honors.
Yeah.
My Kingston years,
you were struggling.
Getting involved with the wrong crowds and stuff like that. Just it was a good move.
Now you guys both have college plans. What do you plan on going to school for?
Business administration.
Whoa. So if we get blacked out here, I mean, there's a wicked storm going. We can hear it.
Yeah.
I don't know if they can hear it, but we can hear it. So if all of a sudden you lose us, it's the storm.
Yeah, we're good.
We're in the basement. We should be okay. Yeah, we should be all right, but we're going to try and fight through it. So business administration, do you have any colleges pinpointed where you want to go?
University of Rochester, Muhlenberg. That's really the top tier right now.
And now, do they have football at either one of those schools? And you're interested in continuing on playing?
Yeah. I've been talking to both their coaches. So.
Oh, nice. Now, what's the biggest challenge for you as a quarterback? You're a senior. They always say you take the losses, even though it's a team game.
I mean, there's definitely a lot of pressure that comes with being a quarterback. It's really hard sometimes, and it's just a lot of pressure on you. So, I mean, I try to deal with it as best I can, and the team helps me out. So, yeah.
Yeah. Now, are you two best friends that pal around all the time, or not?
Every day.
Every day, yeah. So he's part of the weightlifting crew that wears no shirt in your basement and has a million Snapchats.
Somewhat.
So the quarterback don't lift weights, is what you're saying.
All right, off the field, besties. On the field in practice.
You going trying to kill each other?
Linebacker, quarterback.
Yeah,
It's be friendship,
It's
but
a chess match.
hey, every day after practice, we're always getting food together and stuff like that with all the other guys.
So that was going to be my next question. Do you feel like you guys have a tight-knit group?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Everybody?
Sure.
This group is a little bit different in that we are smaller, but everyone from the top to the bottom of the roster, 10th graders, 12th graders, everyone's getting along.
Yeah.
Everybody, it's a real tight family feel. I mean, it's kind of the culture we've been trying to develop,
Right.
For the last few years. We do a lot of pancake breakfasts as fundraisers. We do pasta nights every game, pregame night, so we try to do things as a group, community service stuff, clothing drives, and so these guys have been kind of growing up together, and learning as men and as football players.
No, that's awesome. In addition to these two studs that you have sitting here, what other players are like should people keep an eye out for like in your program?
Yeah, so I would say the third captain that we have right now, Ethan Berrien, he was a junior when he joined us. So last year. First year playing football, I mean, literally green as green can get. And this kid has spent the entire since the first day of the off season going into his junior year until now in the weight room, and he is dedicated himself to the sport. And at our scrimmage that we had this weekend, the first 2 plays was him just blowing up the running back in the backfield. I mean, he's ready. So Ethan's great, and he's taking a leadership role. Cole Madison and Chase Madison, those two are just amazing blessings to have in the program because they're just dogs. And
I had
Cole,
Chase Madison one year, so I know.
Yep. So Cole last year as a sophomore, first year playing varsity, had 11 sacks and led the section or the 8-man division.
Right.
So I mean, we're just all over the field wherever you go. We have guys who are just athletes. So we're definitely ready. We're excited.
I think great teams have a bond. Like the team bonds.
Yeah.
And it seems like you said, you guys are lifting weights, you're hanging out, you're having besties. But when you're on the field practicing, you're head to head, you're butting heads, you're going after it. So do your practices get chippy at all?
They've gotten chippy a couple times, but it tends to. I'll give these guys credit. It does tend to stay within the whistles, and then it's good. Like everybody's about competition, but it's not about getting personal. So definitely. Especially if we're in a full hitting day, things get a little crazy. Reese likes to put his shoulder down every once in a while and run somebody over just to let him know, like, hey, I might be wearing the red jersey, but
I can still do this. Yeah.
So it's fun. It's good. One of the challenges this year with having such a light roster is managing the amount of hitting we're doing in practice.
Right.
So as a coach, I've never been in that position where I've actually had to try to dial back on the amount of hitting I do because we can't afford a practice injury. So you're trying to find that fine line of, keeping the guys ready, but keeping them healthy.
Yeah.
So it's probably my biggest challenge this year as a coach, for sure.
Yeah, I imagine.
Yeah, Griff hates my guts every day for not having a hitting practice.
Not having tackling.
Yeah, not waking up at 6 a.m. and having a hitting practice.
So do you guys practice after school?
We do.
And what do you just normal, like 3 to 5? Normal?
Yep. We run until the last bus of the day, which is like 5:30. But we've been practicing for the last few months now. Even prior to school, we have a pretty good off-season program. Same with last year. So these guys stay busy. They stay in the weight room. This is the first group also that I've coached where I don't really have to worry about what kind of shape they came in as.
Right.
Everyone's in good shape already. To where we can really just focus on the skills and the mental.
So do you guys? I ask this at every school because it amazes me what schools do and what schools do not.
Yeah.
Do you guys, when you're a varsity athlete, still have to go to gym?
Yeah.
Yep.
You do?
Yeah.
Okay.
Great.
Yeah. Because some schools, if you're a varsity athlete, you don't take gym, you go to the weight room. That's where you get lifted.
Right.
Do you guys have a weight? Like, where do you guys get your lifts in? Do you do it at home? Do you guys have a gym at the school that everybody goes to?
We do have a nice weight room at the school. They actually just recently updated it, so it's pretty nice. We were able to get access to it for our off-season stuff. And then,
guys know they're welcome.
The dungeon at his basement.
What do you got? Stu Hart?
Yeah, literally. That's all I think about every time I hear about it. I'm like, oh, the dungeon.
It's a little sketchy down there, but Everybody's
No, like I said, 3 years of Snapchats of watching Griffin
Yeah.
lift insane weights. I get it. How's your modified program numbers?
They're really good.
Yeah, they're actually good this year. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think we're up to 30 now.
which is good. That's good for the future of the program.
Yep.
Because, like you said, you're senior heavy right now.
Yeah, we're losing a big group this year.
What defines success for you guys? Like, it's all different. Like the head coach, players, I get it. What's your versions of success
Let
for
them
the
answer
season?
first.
No, really you.
All right. I just want to, like win games. Like that's just flat out win games this year. Like personal, obviously, I got my own stuff in mind. But as far as the team has to worry, as far as everybody has to worry, let's win games as a team. Let's get on the road. Let's get a playoff game. Let's build the program again.
So, like a goal would be have a winning program.
Yeah. Anything above 500.
Yeah.
Like just to let people know, like Coach was saying earlier, like 30 years since we've had a winning program. Like
Historian Mike Negron came in and said the actual last winning season was 1992.
I thought 95 was 500 though.
He was
Maybe
in
that's-
that on
Yeah,
that team 95, so he would know.
Yeah, all right.
So like we breaking the 30-year mark without a winning season.
Right. That's
That-
big.
Yeah, like
Surprise everyone.
we need to really show the people in our community and show the upcoming modified guys that we can win games again, and let them know like don't go play soccer next year because
Right.
you don't see a future in football.
Give the future hope.
Yeah. Let's let the young guys see.
One win in 95. Negron just gave me like
Really?
Yeah.
Wasn't that your dad's year?
So I mean, right? What you're saying? So basically, 96 was 4 and 5. See, our historians
Yeah.
chime in.
I love it. Thank you,
Yeah.
Mike.
What would you say defines, a successful season?
Above 500, really, just giving the future hope at this point. As seniors, just trying to give the future hope.
Yeah, and the thing is, winning cures all ails, right? Like, if you're winning, the program's going to get more people in it.
Yeah.
More people are going to stay in it. Do you guys do anything with jerseys or anything special, like to bring in more? Like, I mean, you guys got great, Letterman jackets on. They look awesome. You see these things, and a lot of people don't understand that. That's part of the culture. Like, what have you done to change the culture up there?
I think the biggest thing that I've done to change the culture is I made it less about just the on-field product and more about developing these guys as members of the community. And even going back to our Mountaineer days,
Yep.
I think we were always about doing something a little bit bigger than football,
Right.
Because it's a tremendous opportunity. You have a platform, you have a voice, and when you come together, you have a lot of eyes on you. And so for these guys, I guess going back to the question about what defines success, I mean, for me, it's 3 components. One, as a coach, I want to see them all healthy. I want them to get through their year, praying to God that there's no injuries, nothing.
Yeah.
I want them all to come out. I want them to be better football players, and better men. And then, to be honest with you, for me, number 3, if we don't make the playoffs this year, I'm going to be really upset. And I never, ever, ever say that as a coach,
Right.
especially because we were a 1-8 team last year. But we were a 1-8 team that lost 4 games by less than a touchdown, and we had the ball in our hands with the ability to win in all 4.
We could have been 4 and what last year?
We could have been 5 and 4, just as easy as 1-8.
Right.
The ball
right.
just didn't bounce our way. We ran out of time. Like whatever it is.
Right. You didn't shoot yourself in the foot. Whatever.
No, so we were in them. So I mean, I look at this season as these guys are ready to win. I've been coaching them since they were both flag football players as fourth graders. I know them inside and out. They know me inside and out, and we're just we're ready to compete.
So, do you guys, as players, ever feel, I don't want to say pressure, but do you guys ever feel the challenge of boosting the program? Like, your coach, right? You guys say you haven't had a winning season in 30 years. So it does fall back on, you're an alumni. Mike's an alumni. Like in Saugerties, they haven't had a playoff win in 30 years. So it's how do you, it falls on the players to try and carry it and bring it back to success. Do you guys ever feel that way?
Yeah. My freshman year, we probably lost how many seniors in that? No one else.
It was a 8 seniors, but they were
Yeah.
talented. I mean, it's very similar to this year.
Yeah.
It was like one of those classes that just rises up together and they're good.
Right.
Lost a lot that year. Came back my sophomore year. Like that was the year I really started like lifting and stuff. So I started bringing guys in to come lift. Like that's like I don't want any guys that I'm currently recruiting to take this the wrong way. That's like my number one way of getting a guy to come join the team.
Right.
Like before
You lift weights.
Yeah, before E played football, I see him. I'm like, you know what, man? Like you gotta come get in the weight room. You gotta come check it out. Let's get the pump. Let's get it all. And then they come out. So after my sophomore year, numbers started really going down. Like it was looking to be one of the lowest seasons that we've had.
It was drastic.
Yeah. So really just, put the foot on the pedal, get guys out to the weight room, get guys out to we ran practices in January at Deet Stadium. We didn't even have access to our field.
Nope.
We'd have guys loaded up 8 deep in a truck or a car getting rides out to Kingston from who knows where past Onteora.
Right.
And you get them loaded up, get them to come to a couple practices, and then we ended up having a 30-man roster last year.
So the fun part about that off season was this was also during COVID, right? So they experimented with doing it was like a 2-man touch league in Deeds.
Oh, yeah.
And it was Kingston playing Onteora.
Oh yeah. I remember that.
I mean, it was all classes all
Yep.
playing together, and our squad, we were undefeated until the playoffs. Or no, we lost one.
No, we were undefeated.
We were undefeated all the way up into the playoffs, and it wasn't even close. We were like 400 points for versus like 40 points against.
Yeah.
I mean, that squad that year was
We were the
insane.
one seed.
Yeah, oh, easy,
Now was that your was that last year's team
I
then?
think it
That was 2 years ago.
Summer of my
It was sophomore.
sophomore year.
Yeah.
Sophomore.
Yeah, it was.
Which would have been last year's regular season team?
2 years ago. 2 years ago, regular.
And how did
So
that
it was-
season end up for you guys?
COVID was 2020, so it was that
2021 season?
Yeah.
So last year you're 1-8. What were you guys the year before that?
We were
2-6.
2-6.
Yeah.
And
And then-
2-2 the year
Yeah,
before.
well,
'Cause,
yeah,
you
we were
did-
2-3 that year.
Yeah, because you
it was
didn't
COVID. It was a
Yeah.
spring ball.
Yeah.
spring ball.
Yeah.
So this is like the year, but people don't understand that to turn around a team, and
It's hard.
you always get people in town are like, oh, another rebuilding. You don't realize it doesn't happen overnight.
Yeah.
It takes time.
Yeah.
What other steps have you done to turn it around? Like I know you said you brought it to community pancake breakfast.
Sure.
What have you done like equipment wise? What have you done field wise?
Oh,
what
my
have you
God.
done? Like homecoming wise. I see this kid always post like pull up, and what I do admire before you answer, and I'm sorry if I cut you off,
All right, fine.
is one thing I noticed about, especially because I follow Griff,
Sure.
he's when he came to play for us in Saugerties and
Yep.
run around getting thrown out of Mountaineer games, is I always admired that the kids in your school always show up for volleyball. They show up for basketball.
Yeah.
The wrestling team show, you know what I mean? Like we were up there wrestling, the basketball team was there. So you guys always show up for each other.
Yeah.
So what other types of things do you do to rebuild a program? What have you done?
Well, on the equipment front, when I got there was the shoulder pads that I played in. I mean, it was bad.
The old
So-
power pads or whatever?
Oh my God, it's terrible. So, I would say at this point, I'm pretty excited that we are equipped with all new helmets for the most part,
F7s.
all
Yeah,
new shoulders. Like we're finally modern. The training equipment that we have 1-man sleds that we never had before. So that was step one, is having the tools to
Right.
use at practice. But realistically, I mean, a lot of it's just the culture and it's the attitude and it's, when I was playing there, it was this culture of, it's Onteora, it's another loss. And I hated that, as a player. I'm like, dude, I'm busting my butt in practice, and I go out and I'm literally draining the tank. I'm laying on the field
Right.
at the end of the game because I got nothing left. And I got people just sitting there going, no one expected you guys to win. It's
Right.
okay. And so trying to get everybody out of that mindset, and not to say that these guys have that mindset, but it's easy for the weight of that previous culture to kind of weigh on you so that when the first thing does go wrong,
They're like, what do
you drop your head and go,
Yeah.
it's just Onteora,
Right.
So trying to change that, guys were pissed off when we lost games last year.
Right.
And that's something that when I was playing, half the team would be upset, but then the other half's joking around. They're, playing grass
Right.
in the locker room and all this stuff. And it's like, we just lost a game, guys. Like, this is
Right.
embarrassing. Another team, literally physically beat us. and we're not taking that seriously. So I think it's a total rebuild from top to bottom, and then bringing in talented coaches. I mean, this year we brought in Orrin Logan, who's coached around the area, Saugerties and Kingston, and he's re-energized our offense. I mean, I was the offense coordinator and head coach for the last, ever since I've been doing it, but for varsity for the last 3 years. You can't be an effective head coach as an offensive coordinator.
Right.
I mean, you've been an offensive coordinator. Your head's buried in the play sheet. You're trying to meet with these guys when they're off the field. It's impossible. So I was like, listen, I have zero ego. I need to bring somebody in. I'm not doing good enough. We're not winning games. And I brought him in, and he has just completely re-energized everybody. Luckily, him and Reese have an amazing chemistry going.
It's like,
yeah, so
he's a young guy that they can kind of relate.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Well, he's older than me.
He portrays himself as a younger guy.
He's a player's coach.
Yeah,
but he's tough.
And then who's your defense coordinator?
Defensive coordinator is Eric Madison.
Eric, big Eric.
And Eric and I.
He cooks a mean pancake and a good steak too.
Yes, and he probably gets that steak with his bare hands.
Yeah.
Eric and I have been coaching together for a long time now. I mean, I feel like I think we were coaching together in modified even. So Eric and I have kind of come up together through this whole thing, wanting to rebuild the program because we were both products of those teams that just were hard luck teams at Onteora.
Now this is going to sound like I don't know. Like what type of offenses can you run in 8-man versus 11-man? I know, like we talked a little off the air. You take 2 linemen away, you take 1 skill away. So, like, what's kind of the standard offense most people run?
Oh, so without going into what we're specifically running this year,
right?
As a coach, trying to come up with stuff when we first went to 8-man, I actually found that you can run a lot of very similar schemes. So, common formations, you have a quads formation, two wide on each side.
Yeah.
Slot wide receiver. You can have single back, with 1 wide. Tight end, quarterback,
right.
I even adapted, I think it was last year, I tried to adapt a wing T.
Sophomore year.
Because realistically you can do it. It's going to look a little different.
Yeah.
But all of the same concepts. I mean, twins right's a really common one that you see, or twins, so you see twins with a tight end and single back, I've seen double split back, tight formations, wedge formations.
Would you say more teams in our area, the section, or however, are you guys all Section 9, or is it just
all Section 9 except Pauling is a Section 1 team that
they just allow over? So, would you say most teams in Section 9 are run heavy or like kind of bounce, or is there anybody that throws like kind of most of the time?
We've always historically been the throwing team. Because I've just had the quarterbacks for it. I had Owen Allison for a long time, who was an extremely prolific passer at Onteora, and then now I have Reese, who's one of the best passers I've seen in a long time at the high school level at my own eyes. I've been blessed to have great quarterbacks this whole time. So, and the athletes to throw to. So we've always kind of been a more of a spread team. I like to run my power game still, especially with a guy like that in the backfield.
Yeah.
But I would say Pine Plains can be a little bit run heavy, but they like to air it out. Pauling is definitely a team that can pass.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like balanced, but
Fallsburg,
more balanced than anything. Because I don't know, like
no, there's definitely some teams that are like 90% run as well.
Right.
And to be honest, I'd be shocked if I saw much else out of Sullivan West this week. They can get their play action game going, but they're going to be a run heavy team. They're going to be 70-30 probably.
Yeah, and just explain to like the listeners, like if they've never done 8-man. So it's 8 men on the field, and it's still 100 yards. It's just a narrower field, right?
Same length field. They bring the sidelines into 40 yards, which is like lacrosse dimensions, from 53 yards. So it's a little bit of a narrower field. You lose what would be your offensive tackles, and you lose 1 skill player. So you still have a quarterback. You have to have 5 on the line of scrimmage to have a legal formation. So it leaves 3 in the backfield.
So I'm going to ask you this weird question because my brain just went.
Yeah.
So you guys, your new stadium, because they just redid your stadium recently, right?
They redid they put up new bleachers and they worked on the drainage a little bit.
All right.
You know,
So the field stayed where it was. So it's
Correct.
like a traditional 11-man field. So then
Yeah.
what did they do? Just take 20 yards off of each side?
Yeah,
Because if not, if you only did it from one side, the goalpost would be all
right. Yeah,
wonky.
the sidelines come in about 5 yards on either sideline.
Basically
So
unnoticeable.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was just wondering. I'm like, wait a minute. Like,
Yeah.
if they only did it from one side of the field, the goalpost would look like you're playing rugby.
Yeah, they bring it in equally from either side, so that everything still lines up. And what you see is interesting though with 8-man is schools like SPAC, Rondout. I'm trying to think of some others, but they all recently have built turf.
Right.
And that turf is marked for 11-man.
It is.
And
it
then
sure is.
And it's like, now you're playing on a field that doesn't have the line for the out of bounds correct.
Right.
So we actually played a game last year with a Section 4 team, which we're doing again this year. It's Columbus Day weekend usually is a traditional bye. We always take a game against Section 4.
Yeah, but why not, right?
Yeah,
you should.
Keep
And here's the thing: when you're all said and done, you've played Pauling, you've played Ronda, you played these teams 100 times. Why not play Cobaskill or somebody?
Yeah, so we're actually playing Ticonderoga this year.
Okay, that's cool.
But,
home or away?
It's neutral. We're going to play at Glens Falls.
Oh, nice, nice.
But so last year we played Tupper Lake, and we played them at Saratoga, and it's an 11-man field.
Right.
So we all show up to this game. We're like, oh, and we played a full game on an 11-man field, and it was obviously very high scoring because
it's so wide open, right?
We played a school 2 years ago, Candor, and we played them at Sydney High School, which is also an 11-man field. Yeah. And Candor last year they actually won the state title for 8-man. But when we played them that year, it was on the 11-man size field, and I think the final score was like 66-45. It was insane. It was like
you have to be more gassed than you've ever been because you're covering so much more ground.
Yeah, every play is a long bomb for a touchdown.
The sweeps you're running sideline to sideline, it's gonna kill you.
Yeah,
it's good though.
It's fun. When the games get high scoring like that, it almost gives you like an arena feel.
I'll tell you why. In my equipment trailer, I'd have one of them line painters. Just let's paint a line for the day.
There we go.
And it'll wash away and we'll be good.
Yeah.
With the exclusion of your own field, is there any stadium you go to that's just a cool spot to play?
I love playing at Pine Plains.
I was going to say
not even because
the lights,
the turf, or it's a grass field.
Yeah,
and it's not even the prettiest grass field, but it's something about like the way the lights are,
just the atmosphere.
School, it gives you that really good every game we've ever played. There's fun. It's always a dogfight.
Yeah. Honestly,
what other fields?
It's hard to admit. I like playing at Dover too.
Yeah,
we played We played a Halloween game last year, I think it was. And they did this thing, I can admit it now because they're an 11-man.
Yeah.
They did this Michael Myers thing, and they had the lights flashing on the field.
Yeah.
That might have been one of the coolest.
You're just standing there and you're supposed to be warming up for a game, but you're like, man, damn, this is pretty cool.
It didn't really psych me out.
Not to psych you out, but just saying this is cool, man.
Yeah, I liked it.
Honestly, last year, SPAC put in a brand new field, and that field was gorgeous.
Yeah.
Now they're back in 11-man.
They're back in 11 now.
So how was that a turf field that's back in Kill?
Turf, yeah.
And was it numbered like 11-man last year?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So we had the sideline that get moved in. Both sidelines get moved.
Now, how do they usually do that if they have to do that? Do they just bring in
the triangular down or yardage markers? Yeah. So kind of put those along the one side. And then most of these turf fields have the blue lacrosse out of bounds.
Yeah.
That's
the width.
Field.
Okay.
Yeah. So it works, but it only typically goes down to about the 20-yard line.
Yeah, because the line breaks. You got to kind of guess.
Yeah. And we've had a couple, because we played at Dietz one year when our field was getting redone. So we had some games where the referees are just kind of guessing on the out of bounds. Looks in.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I imagine that being tough. So, is there any other real differences that you notice playing 8 versus 11? I mean, 11 gets congested at times.
I don't know. I would say as a coach who's been doing 8-man for a while, one thing I've been blessed to do is last couple of years I've done the Section 9 senior game. So they have the senior game every year at Middletown or Goshen, and they bring in all of the graduating seniors, each team gets a designated amount of selections, and it's everybody from 8-man schools to AA schools. They all get together, they all make a team, And I gotta say, last year I was the head coach of the one team, and we had a couple of the Pauling kids on the team, and they were the MVPs of the game.
Right.
I mean, so
So even eight plays with 11.
8 plays
in the
with
senior
11 in the
games.
senior game.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. So I mean, it was exciting to see 8-man guys and an 8-man coach going out
Right.
here and
playing 11
at a high
man.
level.
Right.
But realistically, talent doesn't really.
It doesn't. School
doesn't
size
change.
doesn't dictate talent.
Yeah, you're
right.
going to get a talented kid on 8-man just the same as you get a talented man on 11. The
Right.
difference is 11 has more guys to draw from.
Right.
So I haven't seen a ton of difference in how the games play. It's still hard hitting. I mean, you're going to get some very small school 8-man teams.
Right.
Roscoe, Eldred. We played Eldred one year. They had 13 guys.
Right.
And it's
Right.
just rough. Like by the end of the game, you're like, eh.
Yeah.
But it's talent-wise, the games are good. They're competitive. You see some studs every year. You see some guys. Pine Plains had the Stracker brothers go through that program, and they were every bit as good as any player I've ever seen in 11-man. So it's not as different as most people think.
I can kind of speak to that a little bit too. I've had a lot of I send my film out to stuff I post it and I send it out. A lot of coaches that I've been talking to have spoken to in 8-man. You have no safeties, right?
Right.
There's no last line of defense. So if you're a linebacker, inside linebacker,
that probably helps your cause.
Yeah, it's open field tackling.
Right.
So to drop so many tackles, to drop that film where you see you're going up, you're scraping, you're flowing, you're making those open field tackles. That's what coaches love. They like to see it, because you got these guys in 11-man making 4 or 5. We still encourage gang tackling, but you don't get that many situations where it's so possible. If you got a sweep, you might have a corner and a fast linebacker who's able to get out there.
Right.
Before everybody else is gone. There's no strong safety rolling down. There's no nickel rolling down. You don't got anything.
Yeah.
There's no help. So I'd say it actually makes it.
So
more
in your
difficult.
case, it makes it more difficult. But if you're making the tackles, that's giving your tape a better look when you send it out to coaches.
Yeah, and coaches are at the college level. They're finally starting to warm up to it a little bit more.
Well, especially around here, down south, it's a prominent thing.
Right.
So they're
Texas
like,
is
8-man is 8-man. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, it's nice to see, because when I first got to this level, I mean, there was a perception with college coaches. They're like, we don't want anything to do. It's an 8-man school.
Yeah.
So they're starting to warm up to it.
It's cool. They're kind of interested in it.
Yeah.
When I
Right.
talk
They're
to
like, whoa,
coaches,
wait a minute.
they're like, why don't you explain it to me a little bit?
Well, just sitting here and talking when you say not a nickel coming down, so you still understand 11-man football. You're just talking. Yeah, no, I know, but I'm saying a lot that explained a lot to me. If I'm a coach and I'm listening to you talk, you still understand the concepts. Just you're playing 8-man football, so you understand it.
Yeah, defense actually gets really interesting with 8-man, because there's not a lot of.
Do you have to have so many people rushing or no?
No,
you can run them.
So
you could run a one-man rush.
I had a year when I did a 2-man front.
Yeah,
it was 2-4. It was like that old Bears 3-4 basically.
Yeah.
And it's the way the numbers are. It doesn't. You're always going to have more defenders on the line of scrimmage proportionally than 11-man. So 11-man, you're either going to see 4 or 5, and there's typically going to be 6 to 7 with a tight end. Well, usually it's 3-on-3.
Right.
In 8-man, or 4-on-4. So it's it actually evens the playing field a little bit more for the defense.
Okay.
But the trade-off is there's typically no safety.
Yeah.
Now, there's a couple questions here I'll ask you that are coming in, but before we get to that, what are the scores tended to be? Are they in the 20s usually?
It's no different than 11-man.
Oh, it's the same.
Yeah, I would say
I didn't know if every week it was 35, 31 or something.
No, I mean, I will say this. It's weird in other sections. You tend to see more of those arena
type
scores.
Yeah.
This section has actually tended to stay more or less the same.
Okay.
It's never low scoring. I don't
Most
think.
of the time, 2-3 scores.
So 21, 14, some stuff like that.
Yeah.
But
it's not big arena scores.
He was saying earlier, last year we had 4 games that we lost by less than 1 possession.
Yeah.
Right.
And it's not like we lost 66 to 60. We
Right.
lost
28 to 24.
14 to 8. We
17
lost
to 20.
Yeah, what was Tupper Lake
17
20 to
That one was
18?
somewhat high
It was
scoring.
Yeah, Eldred 20 to 18.
Yeah,
legit.
18 is
Ended the game on the goal line.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, so we got a guy named Sal de Rosalia. How many wins this year, and what did the team do to improve in the offseason?
Oh, is he asking for a prediction for
Yeah,
wins? Oh,
yeah.
man. We're hoping to get enough to make the playoffs. I think.
What do you think the number is roughly?
7-game regular season, but the only thing they count towards the playoffs is your division games. So we have 4 of them. I feel confident.
You have 4 division games?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm not going to say which ones, but I feel confident for sure in 3 of them.
Okay.
But a lot needs to be happening. The ball needs to get rolled out. We actually need to play them. So
that 4th one's going to be a dogfight. Man.
4th one's going to be a dogfight for sure.
You just give him respect, not giving credit, just give him respect.
Yep.
Yeah, well, I mean, listen, and that's going to bring out, regardless, that's going to bring out the best of you.
Yeah.
It has to.
Absolutely.
And even if you sit a setback, you always, as long as you win the other 3, you're going to have another shot at them, right? Because playoffs are playoffs.
So to improve in the offseason, just continued to run our off-season program. Made sure that actually one thing. So I'm not a teacher. Like one of the defining things for high school coaches nowadays is you'll have teacher coaches and you have outside contractor coaches.
Right.
I'm an outside. I have a day job. I work 40 hours plus a week.
Right.
And then I come to coach. So it's challenging. As opposed to a coach that can pull guys out of the hallway and put them in the weight room. So one of the things that I love about these guys and why they're leaders,
all 3 of your coaches aren't teachers, right?
None of us are teachers.
Which is it's very challenging because you don't have somebody sitting in the cafeteria going, "We need you."
And also the modified program, none of them are teachers.
Wow, that's a rarity.
6 coaches in the program, and there's no teachers. These guys both organized morning workouts this year, so they were pulling guys in at 6 a.m. into the weight room. With good turnout.
Well, I've always felt like if your players lead, you have a good team. If the coach has to lead,
it's not going to
get anywhere.
First adversity,
right.
and then
and if the players are taking lead, like it seems like you said, you're not there. Yeah. These guys are pulling everybody in. This guy's pulling everybody into the dungeon, getting them to lift weights. So when you have that kind of leadership, though, how much pressure does that take off of you?
I mean. At the end of the day, the part that nobody sees is, after a loss, I get to sit in my office downstairs and ruminate over that for an hour, But having leaders like these guys who I literally have coached since they were, kids, it makes my job a lot easier, because it's my voice is one with them. They know what I want. They know what I expect. And so when it comes time to get a hold of the locker room, all I have to do is give this guy a look, and he's going out there and he's getting all the guys in line. It's nice. Compared to when you don't have that kind of buy-in from your leaders, it makes the job a lot tougher. So everything kind of flows nicely from head coach down through captains. And these guys are both second-year captains. They've been captains since they were juniors. So everything just really flows nicely, and you can tell the younger guys coming in, like, they get it immediately because they see these guys doing it. So, it definitely helps.
That's good. Now, what are your guys' goals as far as like going on to college? And you both want to play on Saturdays, I would imagine. Yeah. And you're both looking at schools and talking.
Yeah.
So you were talking a little bit. You got a couple looks at what schools are you going to look at, Griff?
I've been talking to a bunch of schools. I got invited to probably like 12 game day visits, but unfortunately we play on Saturdays.
Yep.
Because we don't have lights at the home field, so
we run into that same problem here.
Yep.
And when you argue it with a school, they don't understand.
Yeah.
They don't realize they're holding you back because you can't go visit colleges play on Saturdays.
Right. But I'm definitely I'm tight with the defensive coordinator from Marist. I'm going to head up there for two game day visits. I'm going up to Pace for their homecoming game.
Yep.
That's going to be fun.
Yep.
I went there for a camp a couple years ago. I'm going to Alfred. I'm going to go to probably SUNY Morrisville.
Okay.
I got a coach from Bryant I'm trying to work stuff out with to get up there in Rhode Island, see a game or something, check that out. But
checking more options than just, you're not putting all your eggs in one basket. You're really seeing what's out there.
Right. Yeah.
Because here's the idea, right? You're 18 years old, if that?
I'm 17.
You're 17. So you're going to college for 4 years. It's like a quarter of your life to this point.
Right.
You got to figure out what fits you.
Yeah.
And what would your major be? Like, do you know what you want to do?
I'm gonna do something in line with business. I'm thinking between business administration and finance
Right.
because I'm the president of our school's DECA club,
Okay.
and I love business, man. Like you can ask this guy. Like I'll wear suits into school. Like I'm out here
Every chance he gets.
I'm
he's
recruiting
wearing a suit.
football players, but I'm also recruiting DECA members and stuff like
Right.
that. If anybody doesn't know what DECA is, it's a business club. And yeah, I love it. I love doing business. So one of the coaches that I'm trying to get in contact with more is a coach from UPenn because Wharton, the best school in America for business, and I'd love to get a degree from there. So yeah, if I could just get in contact a little more, you know, it might not happen for a game day visit, but once you get the film out and stuff, you know, I'd love to play Penn.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. And you did the same thing. Like you have, are you down to like 2 schools? You said.
No, I have a couple. I have Carleton, Hartwick, Monmouth, and Bryant too.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to put everything out there.
Are you guys going into business together?
Maybe. You know, partners.
So I do. You both touched on something here, and I heard you both say camps. How much off-season work do you guys put into like camps and stuff like that? That's the thing I want to hear from, because like a lot of players, you know, unfortunately, if you want to go play college football, you can't just be a September to November guy. You got to put the work in the off season.
Exactly.
Did you go to camps, Reese?
I went to a lot of camps. Yeah, over the summer. Yeah, a ton of camps.
What camps did you hit that you like?
Rochester was probably one of my favorites. I went to a Muhlenberg one, and then I also went to Bryant and Monmouth one as well. So yeah, I mean, I probably did a lot more, but I just can't.
Have you ever gone to? And did you go to any QB specific camps?
When I was younger, just to like, you know, learn my craft.
Yeah.
But not really. They kind of in the camps they kind of specialize on quarterbacks, like
right.
You know, all of the colleges I look at have like specific quarterback coaches, and they kind of do their own drills. So it was nice to, you know.
So they break you off.
Right,
Your quarterback they bring you in. And how about you? Did you go to any camps?
Yeah, a bunch. Like once you get like the football season really never ends. Like once you start going to camps and stuff, you know, like obviously September to November is like it's your bank time. You know,
right.
Like you got that. Like that's your show your stuff.
Yeah.
Type of time, but you got that to that, and then we start morning lifts in December. You know,
right.
Stretching in the spring. Spring, that's when you got junior days. We're off season practices up on the field and stuff. And then summer, like every weekend, you know, you're taking a 3-hour drive to Wesleyan
to we did that together.
Yeah, to everywhere, and you're. I think the most important part, obviously, you're talking to college coaches and you're promoting yourself, networking yourself, but it's also learning from these college coaches. Like, you know, I have every single ounce of faith in the coaches that we have here.
Yeah.
But just to get that next level, like I headed up to UMass this summer, working with like actually one of the coaches that I talked to the most, Mike McCray, outside linebacker at Michigan University. And I'm a big Wolverine fan.
Oh, do I know?
But
the Blue Crew, yeah.
Hearing from that guy, outside linebacker coach,
that
played at such a high level, that's coaching now at such a high level, like you just see things that like you learn things that when you put it in a high school game, it's like, how does not every kid in America know about this?
Right.
How am I the only guy that knows how to dip my shoulder on a rip? How am I the only guy that knows how to keep the palm open on a club? You know?
Yeah.
Like stuff like that you just pick
the
up
thumb up chop. You know, there's certain small little
just using your hips.
These subtle things just to turn a hip just to get through. Yeah.
Yeah, you learn that type.
Where you don't have to take a whole step. You're just turning your hip. Yeah.
You learn that and like just building relationships. It's great.
Now, I know your coaches do this, but you guys have to do this on your own. Does your school help promote you to get like to these other colleges? Like, are you doing the legwork on your own, or how are you guys getting in contact with these coaches? And
NCSA for both of us, right?
NCSA, yeah.
NCSA and Twitter.
Yeah, Twitter's a big one.
X.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, X, whatever it's X now.
Yeah, but you know, you just post your film up. You know, if you're lucky, you get a couple coaches that'll hit you up. They're like, "We like what we see on your film. We're gonna have you up for game day. We want you to come to our camp, and we're going to see how you stack up." And like Coach was saying earlier, now 8-man is starting to get that same respect, and they want us to prove it. Like when I went on my junior day to Marist, the coach told me, he was like, "Yeah, you know, like we see you, we see your film, we love it. We just want to see you compete against these 11-man guys, and that way when you go out in competition and they think you're going to come out slow, they think you're going to come out stiff." And you come out, you're locking these guys up. You're locking these guys that might be state champs. Like something that stuck with me really at the Marist camp I went to. there was a kid from CBA, Christian Brothers Academy,
Yep.
playing wideout, and I lined up against him. And I saw like the defensive coordinator. He's talking to his recruits. He's talking to his other coaches. He kind of puts a clipboard down for a second. He's looking. He's like, you must have known who the other recruit was. And just like locking a kid like that up, you kind of see like it's not that different.
Right.
You got a guy who.
And what'd that do for your confidence in that moment?
Oh yeah, everything, man. Like.
Well, you're just like, I just locked up one of the top recruits here.
Yeah.
I belong here.
Yeah. No, I definitely.
And then once you know you belong, then you just accelerate.
You just get
Even
more
higher.
comfortable.
Yeah,
Right.
That comfort is a big thing.
It's getting comfortable in the uncomfortable, right?
Yeah. Because
Football is.
like my sophomore summer, going to camps alone is probably one of the most isolated feelings I've ever felt in my life. Because you don't gotta. I mean, luckily this junior year, I got my partner over here to some camps, and we got to work together before. Like we get to throw around with each other.
Yep.
Exactly.
You go to a camp alone, you're stretching yourself out alone. You're begging QBs to catch their passes.
Yeah.
Like you're just like, can I just catch for you?
We had that last year when we went to Michigan.
Yeah.
You get on the field and there's all these guys. They just spread out, and you know the guys that go to all the camps.
Yeah.
You immediately know they got the bands. They're warming up, and I'm like, and then there's my son. And there it is like a traveling type thing. Like people know how to do it, and like you said, you're lucky you had somebody to go with you. Your sophomore year, how many did you go to where you were the only guy out there just trying to figure it out?
From Onteora, every single camp I went to. I probably went to like 6 or 7 that year.
But do you feel that was more important because it got you ready for your junior? You knew what to expect.
Yeah.
Coming out of your sophomore year to your junior year.
Yeah, and I mean, like I said, like totally confidence building. Like when you compete in such a like small pond,
Yep.
Like even if we were competing just against Section 9 schools, like if I still went to Kingston, I still wouldn't have the confidence that I had now without going to camps. Because you see guys like CBA, they're at the highest level of enrollment.
Mm-hmm.
They're state champ multiple years. Like there's a junior that I met at one camp, and he's a backup. He might be a third string,
right?
Because they got 3 seniors waiting to come hit up that spot, quarterback.
Yep.
So you meet these guys and you're locking them up, you're tackling them, you're beating them out in a 40 time, beating them out in a one-on-one drill. It's just it's gratifying, to be honest. Like you realize, okay, all this work I've been putting in, every ounce of sweat I've put into practice, it actually means something.
It's paying dividends now.
Yeah, it means something in the football world,
Oh, you're a business guy. It's paying dividends.
Yeah, absolutely.
We have another question here from Nick Calora. Coach, in your opinion, what makes a football team great?
The mullets.
That could have been much worse. That's our right guard. He's our right guard.
What makes a team great? The ability to communicate when things are tough. The ability to move as one. I would say those are probably the 2 biggest assets, and we've talked about them this year. When things are going rough in between the sidelines, the ability to come off and sit there and talk about it and say, how are we going to make our adjustments without guys just throwing helmets and getting upset. And,
right.
I would say that's what makes a team great. Heart, communication, passion, and just, the Mountaineers here, right? That's always going to be my measuring stick here, because it was probably the greatest team that I ever played on. And we lost, we won so many games out of adversity.
Yeah.
Including that final game, we were down 11.5, and nobody in that locker room actually thought we were out of it. Everyone was like, "Okay, we just got to get right, and we're going to come back in this thing. We're going to win."
Yeah. And I mean, the season started off where a fake punt, not even a fake punt, he just saw the seam on like a 4th and long, and it got us back fired up. So
yeah. I mean, that team was just never quit.
Right.
And I think that's. It's a learned. I mean, we kind of got lucky with that being an expansion franchise that just started up, and getting in there with all these different personalities and kind of figuring it out. But I mean, we've been building that up for a while now, of gaining that confidence that when we're down, we're going to score again. When we're up, we're going to put our foot on it.
Mindset.
So it's definitely mindset.
How much does attitude determine outcomes?
It determines so much.
You know what I mean? Like, because go like you touched on the Mountaineers for
Yeah.
a second, and Mike was a player and GM of the
Yeah.
Mountaineers, and I was the offensive coordinator back then. But the point being, like, I remember when there would be adversity, and sometimes you'd hear it like on the headsets. I'm like, guys, we got plenty of time to
Yeah,
go.
we're
We
good.
need to calm the hell
Yeah.
down right now.
Yeah.
So the mindset, even at your guys' level, if you're down by a touchdown, how much is it you guys as captains trying to get
Bring
your team
everyone
up? Like,
yeah,
hey, listen,
bring
we're not
everyone
out of this.
Exactly.
It's one score. We'll get
Yeah.
it back.
You know what's gonna happen. You know,
Right.
like
You're not going undefeated with nobody scoring on you.
yeah. There's not a single
Exactly.
game that I walk out onto the field and I'm thinking we're not gonna get scored on. We're not gonna let up a first down. It's
Right.
gonna happen.
Yeah.
Right.
It's how we keep ourselves up. Like when often you see a team score first drive, second drive, whatever, and everybody's just so down. They're like, oh, we gotta get our offense
Yep.
going. Like there's so much we gotta do to work for this win. And I feel like it's not even just in our like small section. Like in football now, everybody's kind of like softening up a little
Yeah.
bit. You
Yeah.
see a touchdown
Teams
get
break.
scored, teams are just
Exactly.
like, okay, you know what, just another time where we're gonna get scored on all day and offense is gonna need to step up. We're trying to build up that like gritty defense, gritty offense. You can smack us in the face, but best believe we're gonna come back with that right hook. You know,
Right.
we're gonna be back here the next series. We're gonna make you pay for that touchdown. You're not just gonna get that for free. You know, stuff
Yeah.
like that. That's our attitude this year. We're gonna be gritty.
Yeah, I mean it's really hard too with the trend that Onteora has been having to lift everyone up when like it's just the
Right.
trend. You
History.
know, it's the history that like it's just another loss, even like
Right.
the team. And me and Griffin try to like bring everyone up, and it's just like nah.
So how hard is it to keep the outside noise outside?
Tough.
It's tough.
It's small community.
Right.
You know, I mean, the one thing I'll say is that we have, the greatest base of fans that anybody could ever ask for. I mean, we, as said, from our historian, we haven't had a winning season since '92, and every home game, especially homecoming, I mean, the stands are packed. People are excited. People are, always, the community. I couldn't say enough. And the parents. I mean, we have such passionate parents. It's amazing. So I mean, the support's there, but within the school, within the halls of the school, it's a different story for these guys.
Yeah,
Right.
When we
face a
lose,
lot.
they have to take the brunt.
They're
of
the
it.
ones that hear it in this hallway.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
like teams get into it with each other, especially in such small schools. Like the soccer team will take a jab at the football team. Like we
Right.
got a better record than you this year. We got to win this week. You guys got a loss.
Right.
It's just how we handle it. You know, like
it's
we try to stay above it. It's hard.
Yeah.
The truth is it's hard. Like it's not like our other teams are excelling. Like obviously I'll always hope that for my other teams, but like being such a I don't want to say failing, but such a struggling team
Right.
for the last couple of years, you just face so much. You just really have to.
It teaches you how to deal with adversity.
Yeah,
Right.
it's good.
Exactly.
It's good. Like it's like Coach is always saying. Like we're building up as men.
Right.
Because in life, you're not always gonna have everything.
You're not going to
gonna
get the
have
promotion.
yeah,
You're not going. Things are
Right.
going to happen.
You're
In
not
life.
gonna have the ball bounce your way, but in a real life situation,
Right.
It also gives us that drive for this year to start out strong.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just
Yeah, we're desperate for this.
Everyone
win.
talking.
Week one.
It's just-
I mean,
Yeah.
these guys know how important week one is right now.
It's-
Well, it can change a program around.
It's 100% what's going to set the tone for the entire season. And week two is probably going to be our most challenging game of the year. I mean, that's the one we have.
Right.
As just looking at past performance, coaches are going to look how this team do last year. This, and week two is going to be a tough test. But we know that week one has to come first.
Right.
And if we don't get that win week one, and we're going into week two not our confident selves, I mean, that could turn ugly.
Yeah. And football is a very momentum type game.
Snowball.
So if you come in week one and you have a good performance,
Yep.
and even if you face some adversity, but you come back, you get
Yeah.
the ship righted, that sets up week two.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, so we right now we are just so locked in. Even going to the scrimmage, we weren't looking at the scrimmage as anything, as an opportunity other than just to practice and make ourselves better. We weren't going in there looking at, oh man, we got to show this team this, and we got to go. We had zero. There was a practice for us. We had a
Right.
joint practice with Rondout where we ended up playing like a little scrimmage at the end. It was just a practice for us. I mean, these guys know week one has been what's scheduled, what's
Right.
circled on the calendar for a long time.
Yeah.
So these guys are definitely locked in. I mean, I've never seen a hungrier team that's just ready to go out on the field. So, and it's nice starting on at home this year because I don't think we've done that in the last few
Yeah.
years.
Hey, when we opened at Fallsburg 2 years ago, we smoked them. Remember, sophomore year, we beat Fallsburg season opener. Oh wait, no, never mind.
No.
We played Tri Valley first, but that was away.
Yeah.
Our home opener we did.
Does Fallsburg
Yes.
still play at the campground? Morningside.
Yeah. They do.
Last year we played them in the
Yeah.
playground. Yeah.
It's actually not a bad little field.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean-
we played on it since Buds or
Yeah.
whatever. Soccer.
We
Yeah.
had a couple issues there last year, but nothing.
Oh, it's a tough place to play.
No. I'm just saying that, I think we found like a landscaping spike like this big.
Oh,
in the
that's
end
not
zone.
good. Yeah.
It was a little scary, but
I always loved playing there, but it's a tough play because
Yeah.
like they take the far sideline
Yeah.
and their fans are not even 6 feet behind you, screaming like
Yeah.
crazy. Yeah, it's pretty rough.
I
place
have a
to
couple
play.
friends on the Fallsburg staff, and I mentioned that to them all the time. I'm like, how come we're with the fans behind us? You'll see.
We're getting all kinds of questions now.
Oh man, I love it.
What condition? This is Thomas Shields. What conditioning do you input in practices to boost that fourth quarter performance?
Wants to make us fun.
Thomas Shields says that.
I gotta give some credit
so-
to Thomas.
Sean Doxey
Oh,
says.
Sean.
Doc says, "Tell Griff I say good luck."
Thanks,
Hey,
Doc.
whoa! No good luck for me.
No,
Doc?
no good luck for you.
Thanks, Doc.
Kay Sue says, "My seventh grader and I are big fans of Reese and Griff. Mike is the bomb.com."
Oh wow! I actually saw her seventh grader the other day at his practice. I was very excited to see him out there.
All right, so we'll go back to Thomas Shields'
So
question.
Thomas
for a second.
Shields is one of our players.
Yeah.
He's a dog, man.
And this is a perfect example of why this year in this group is different. Because
Much love, Liv. Keep it going.
because these guys are in such good shape.
Yep.
I go into this year thinking, okay, I can dial back a little bit on conditioning because they're almost there.
Yep.
And I can focus more on learning repetitions, all that.
Right.
So this has been a pretty light summer, and especially with the weather. We practiced at night, and it's been 70 every day. It's insane. So Thomas, is one of our seniors, and he's a wrestler. And he came up to me after practice one night. He was like, "Coach, I'm not gonna lie. I think we need to condition more." And I'm like, "Okay,
Yeah.
we could do that." And he's like, I think we're kind of being light right now, and I really would like to see us work a little harder. And I'm like, okay.
So and then you just added it in.
Well, we try to practice with more intensity in our drills. I mean, unfortunately, with New York State rules, the last 3 days now we've been inside. Pretty
Right,
much.
yeah,
It's been
yeah.
terrible, being inside all day.
And there's the big fear. You have 70, you're practicing at night, and
Right.
now here's the opener. Now it's 80 and humid.
Yeah,
And now
now we're not conditioned
Right.
for that. Yeah.
Right.
So we luckily with our off season practices,
Yeah,
we had a lot of hot days, so we were getting it in there.
We're ready.
These guys are definitely in good shape right now.
All right. Well, this leads into probably one of our last questions here.
All right.
From Rafael Solis. Coach and players, what aspects of football get you the most excited?
Oh man, Raf is another one of our seniors. We have a lot of them.
He's
What
a
part
dog,
about-
too? He's a dog too.
Yeah, he's a dog.
Well, so it is a good question. Though.
Yeah.
What aspect of football gets you, like we've talked, you've wrestled in the past. What's different about football? What gets you so excited to play football?
That what? For me, the one thing about football, I'm like smiling thinking about it. Anybody who's ever played football, it's that 10 minutes before the opening kickoff when you see the other team across the field. You're sizing them up, and that build up and that anticipation.
It's like two
of,
armies stand on the battlefield getting ready.
Man, I love that feeling of just before that first hit happens, of just knowing that you are capable of anything. And I think that feeling is so exciting to me. Just being there with your team, feeling together, feeling as one. Like you're unified for one mission. And I think that's kind of, for me, that's the exciting part. And winning. Winning is obviously pretty exciting too. But what about you guys?
Hitting people.
Yeah, getting a chance to hit somebody,
Yeah.
getting it out of your system.
Quarterback. I love it.
I mean, it's the same answer for me since ever, but always for me, it's not even such an ego thing, but lining up across from somebody
Yep.
and them just knowing, no matter what they do, it's not going to work. Like
Right.
lining up, looking a running back in his eyes, looking across from a captain in the captain circle, just looking at them, looking them dead in the eyes, and them seeing the look of fear, because they know wherever the ball is going, I'm gonna be
I'm
flowing.
gonna be there.
I'm gonna be dropping it on you. Like you're gonna feel it if you get the ball. I always like have dreams about it, and I always like. So I don't want to say fantasize.
If it goes to the dark place here,
Yeah.
bringing Griff back.
I can just imagine a running back, like it's like my dream, standing in a huddle, and they call like a run play, and he's like, "Coach, I don't want the ball. Coach, I don't want the ball." He's gonna be there.
Yeah.
I can feel that when I look at running back.
Have you ever seen the movie The Program?
How many times are we gonna talk about this movie? Yeah, you know the guy.
Alvin
You got my
Mack?
sister pregnant.
Yeah.
I'm here.
Yeah.
So funny enough, we have
talk about that all
a
the time.
10th grader who came up to us this year. And he's got the long blonde hair.
It's not Chase, is it?
No.
Because Chase
No,
said
Sunshine.
some
the other
great
day-
questions.
But the other day, I said, "Hey, Sunshine," and I'm like, "Wait a minute, have you seen Remember the Titans?" He's like, "Nope," and I'm like,
Oh,
Sunshine.
man. Yeah, I know.
"He's probably like, why is this guy calling
Yeah.
me Sunshine?"
Yeah.
I'm like,
Sunshine.
Sunshine.
Ain't no
Yeah. But see, so, when we sat down here and, I didn't know. I had questions. I've known you since you were a kid. I remember you coming when you played for the Outlaws.
Yeah.
They when COVID hit
Yeah.
and kind of
Oh,
crossed
man.
us up. We've had, sitting down here, I wanted to give you guys some exposure.
Sure.
You're 8-man, you're local. But then sitting here, I'm like, you gained a fan.
Sweet.
You know what I mean? Like, it was from somebody that was just like, hey, I always want to see everybody do good
Sure.
that we've done. But now you gained a fan because over the last hour, we sat here and we talked about football, and you're very knowledgeable. But what happened was you made me buy into what you guys did.
Program.
And it made me really buy into that you guys are working off in the off season. You guys are going to camps, that you're holding each other accountable.
Yeah.
And here you are, this little community that hasn't had a winning season since 1992.
Yeah.
So you're looking at 31 years, but you're not giving up hope.
I mean, this is the ultimate underdog story. I mean, it's literally this is
the season.
this is the program. This is the season. This if you want to be a fan, this is the year to jump on that because I'm telling you, these guys are. I have never seen a team more ready to take the spotlight and make the most
Right.
of it.
Yeah.
So this week you are home at 1 p.m.
Yep. So we're home, Sullivan West, 1 p.m. Week 2 is at Pauling. It's going to be a Thursday night game.
Yeah.
And then our following 2 games are home. We have our senior night, Millbrook, and that's going to be also a 1 p.m. game. And then homecoming is against Ellenville on the 30th, and that's a 2 p.m.
That's
game.
September 30th.
Yep. And then we're away the rest of the year. We'll get them all out in September.
You're front-loaded home
Front-loaded
games and everywhere
which,
on
listen,
the road.
like I said, as important as starts are,
Right.
you can't ask for any more.
Right,
You're
right.
home. You're comfortable. You can have the extra time warming up, pregame. All those things. They kind of help add up to a really favorable schedule for us, where we can enjoy some home cooking, literally,
Right.
for the first month of the season.
Yeah.
So we're
That's
definitely
good.
excited. I think, the expectations are really high. I think, anybody, parents, community members that have been around the program, they're feeling really good about it.
Good.
And like I said, these guys, I came up with them. I coached them in flag.
Like football.
They went to modified. I coached them in modified.
Right.
They went to varsity. I coached them in varsity.
Yeah.
Now they're going to go to college together next year, and then like Friday Night Lights, I'm going to go coach college with them. Seriously, like we've all come up together. This class, we had the class 2 years ago that was, definitely up there, but this class is the one I've been watching for 8 years now.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's like this is the one. If we're going to win, this is going to be the one.
This is good. This could be the one that turns the tide.
Turns the
Totally.
tide.
Oh my god.
Right.
Yeah. So it's an exciting.
And then you have the people in the underclass that you're bringing in
Right.
Yeah.
to show them the way
Right.
of how
Exactly.
we keep this rolling
Yeah.
after.
A lot of I feel like athletes and just people in general talk about having something to prove.
Yeah.
I hear that so much, and I feel like a lot of times it's empty. Like they
Right.
feel like, oh yeah, like we've been working out since August.
Yeah.
We got something to prove this year because we ran 20 hills instead of 15.
Right.
We have 31 years of built up anger our community still supports us,
Right,
sure,
exactly.
but who doesn't want a winning season?
Right.
It's something to rally around as a community. You see these people at local restaurants, you see these
Right.
people like out at community events.
Mhm.
You want to be the guy that they're like, great game on Friday,
Right.
great game on Saturday,
Right.
Guys,
You walk
good
into a
team
local
win.
pizza joint, you want them to go, hey guys, good job.
good team win.
Right.
But see, this is why I love this group, because Griff just said we've got 31 years. He's a 17-year-old kid.
Right.
He wasn't even alive.
But he's wearing it and he
feels
understands
he's wearing
it. Right.
I mean, these guys wear the jackets and they wear them not just because they look good. They wear them because they're part of that culture now.
Right.
And I think all of us will be so excited to see that winning or winless, whatever you want to call it,
Right.
streak just busted wide open this year.
It's got to come to that.
Yeah.
Well, it's good, man. I'm glad you guys came on. I'm glad we
Thanks for
talked.
having us.
Appreciate
Yeah.
it.
Appreciate it.
I'll just say to the listeners now, next week is going to be an off week because, as was discussed, I think it's a Jewish holiday, so everybody's playing next. Is it Rosh Hashanah next
I
week?
think so, yeah.
So everybody's playing on Thursday. So
Yeah.
to get back in time for in the huddle won't happen. So we will be back on September 21st with Kingston coach Dave Hodgba and senior captain Troy Hodgman.
Nice.
So for everybody else, for everybody from Onteora, thanks for chipping in tonight. It's been In the Huddle. Have a good